Recording and voila. Recording and transcripting. There we go. We're up and running. Good morning.
Hi, good morning, Mary. My name is Mandeep. I'm volunteer with Langar for Hunger here in Ottawa, and we really appreciate you giving us time, to jump on this call and talk about all of the questions that we're going to have today. Do you mind giving a little bit introduction about yourself so our viewers will know about you?
Perfect. I'm from Canadian Blood Services. My name is Marie-Noele Cote. Everybody calls me Mary. I'm as I mentioned, the business development manager. I represent one of the lifelines for Canadian Blood Services for the Ottawa region, which is plasma. And plasma is a new lifeline for Canadian Blood Services because it is one of the highest growing need in the Canadian and global market.
Perfect. And that's amazing. I'm sure you're doing a wonderful job at your place. About Langar for Hunger, just briefly, we are organization in Ottawa, and we've been doing blood drives with Canadian Blood Services for about 7 years now. And so far, we've done about 12 blood drives in total. And all of those blood drives, they were like regular blood donation. So plasma is the first time out for us, and that's the whole intention. We are having this discussion that we'll get more awareness going forward in the community. That way, we can do the blood donation and plasma going forward. So some of our this recording will be shared with our viewers as well, all the volunteers and donors. So some of our donors, they are not very fluent with English, so I will be translating some stuff in Punjabi and Hindi in the middle. So if you have any questions to begin with, we can. Otherwise, I can jump onto the list
No,
of questions I have.
this is phenomenal, and thank you for the opportunity. We look forward to having our first group at the Arlene's Plasma Center, and
Mhm.
we love the fact that we have the opportunity to work with Longer for Hunger. So thank you.
That's amazing. Thank you. So we'll just start basic from plasma because most people know about red blood cells, white blood cells, or when we're donating blood. But plasma, what exactly is that for layman language thing?
No, perfect. And it is a new lifeline in Canada, and there's a lot of education and information that we can share about plasma. Plasma is the liquid. It's actually 55% of your blood, and it's the liquid that your white blood cells, your red blood cells, and your platelets float into. Plasma is actually a straw-like color. It's like a pale yellow apple juice, sometimes compared, and it is a protein rich liquid. And the protein is used to create medication that saves so many different type of illness and lifeline. It helps build the immune system. It helps combat, for example, cancer patients that receive chemo receives plasma, and it's a medication that you can do a direct, depending on the process, you could do a direct transfusion from plasma to plasma, from a recipient to from a donor to a recipient, or the plasma is mostly used to create a drug called IG, and this drug is used for so many life-saving illnesses. If you have immune system issues, you receive plasma. Cancer patient, like I mentioned, receive plasma at every chemo. Kidney issues receive plasma, newborn babies receive plasma, and a bleeding disorder, burn victim, and the list goes on, which explains why plasma is one of the most needed in growing medication in the world.
Okay, that's good to know. A lot of stuff personally, even I didn't know about. So is this plasma donation a new thing, or it's been happening for a long time now?
So it's been happening globally for a long time. In Canada, we're close to 2.5 years now, just with Canadian Blood Services. We were sourcing plasma from overseas after the pandemic and some changes in the global market. It was an immediate call to action for Canadians to have plasma from Canadians for Canadians, and Canadian Blood Services has brought us on as a new lifeline. We've been in the Ottawa market for 6 months, but we've been in a Canadian market for 2.5 years.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, and how exactly is plasma donated? Like, how different is it from the normal blood donation that we all know about?
It's actually very similar to giving blood. The same process. We have a needle in the arm. We withdraw the blood. The only difference is the blood goes into an equipment called centrifuge, which is right beside the bed beside you. It spins and separates your blood cells from your plasma. Once the machine spins and separates, your plasma actually drops into a container. And we give you back your red blood cells, your white blood cells, and your platelets. And we just keep the liquid. That's
Okay,
the
okay.
process.
That's very interesting. Yeah, I'll translate for my viewers as well in Hindi. So plasma donation basically होता क्या है कि जो हमें बताया है मैरी ने कि नॉर्मल ब्लड डोनेशन में ब्लड लिया जाता है एंड दे स्टोर इट बट इस केस में क्या हो रहा है कि वो ब्लड लेते हैं और क्योंकि ये प्लाज्मा डोनेशन है तो उनको सिर्फ प्लाज्मा चाहिए तो जो बाकी चीज़ें हैं दे स्टोर इन कंटेनर एंड दे गिव इट बैक टू यू सो बेसिकली इसमें आप पहले डोनेट कर रहे हो फिर आपको जो पोर्शन उनको नहीं चाहिए वो वापस बॉडी में आ रहा है सो आपका बहुत स्पेसिफिक चीज़ ही डोनेट की जा रही है एंड बाकी आपका सारा ब्लड जो है वो रिवाइव्ड है so thank you, Mary. So who can donate, and in terms of age or, just medical history, is it very
Mhm.
similar to the other donation or it's quite different?
So, because there's so many control points with plasma and quality process, someone that's had malaria can actually donate plasma. So, typically on a overview scale, someone that's 17, male or female, all the way to 71 can donate. We always ask that you be at least 110 pounds, generally in good health. Some of the restrictions are obviously hepatitis A, B, and C, and HIV. But if you're generally in good health, you can probably, if your hemoglobin are the right levels and you're the right weight and within the age range, anyone can give plasma.
Okay, so it's not as strict as the regular blood donation, then it seems,
No,
right?
it's actually plasma is a little bit more accessible. And since
Mhm.
we give you back your red blood cells, your white blood cells, and your platelets, it's a little less taxing. So a man can give every 7 days and a woman every 14 days. It's
Okay.
drinking, we always suggest drinking a lot of water,
Mhm.
eating, and if you have any medical questions, because everyone could be on potential, different types of medication.
True.
And if you have a question, if someone's just received a tattoo, we always say, please ask 3 months. If somebody's a cancer patient, we always say 5 years from their last chemo treatment. But if there's any other specific questions in regards to medication, we always suggest to call our 1-888 to donate and speak to one of our associates that will be able to clarify any questions, or by going onto the Canadian Blood Services website where there's additional information, or by simply sometimes walking in. If you're in the Orleans region, please come into the Orleans Plasma Center and speak to one of our associates if you have any specific questions.
Okay, perfect. That's amazing. So I'll translate for our Punjabi viewers. So मैं पूछा सी क्वेश्चन कि डोनेट ਕਰਨ ਲਈ ਏਜ ਕੀ ਹੈ ਜਾਂ ਹੋਰ ਕੀ ਰਿਕੁਆਇਰਮੈਂਟਸ ਹੁੰਦੀਆਂ ਸੋ ਅੰਡਰਸਟੈਂਡਿੰਗ ਇਹ ਹੋਈ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਬਲੱਡ ਡੋਨੇਸ਼ਨ ਸੀ ਰੈਗੂਲਰ ਕਰੀਦੀ ਉਹ ਥੋੜੀ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਸਟ੍ਰਿਕਟ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ ਬਟ ਇਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਸਿਰਫ ਪਲਾਜ਼ਮਾ ਡੋਨੇਟ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਆ ਐਂਡ ਬਾਕੀ ਬਲੱਡ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਵਾਪਸ ਆ ਰਿਹਾ ਸੋ ਇੰਨਾ ਸਟ੍ਰਿਕਟ ਰੂਲਸ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ ਫॉर ਐਗਜ਼ਾਮਪਲ ਐਜ਼ ਲੌਂਗ ਐਜ਼ ਤੁਸੀਂ 17 ਐਂਡ ਆਪਾਂ ਏਜ ਵਾਈਜ਼ 17 ਟੂ 71 ਦੀ ਏਜ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਡੋਨੇਟ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਆ ਤੇ ਜੇ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ weight 50 ਕਿਲੋ ਤੋਂ ਉੱਪਰ ਹੈ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਡੋਨੇਟ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਆ ਇਨ ਜਨਰਲ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜੇ ਹੈਲਥੀ ਆ ਤਾਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਕੋਈ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮ ਨਹੀਂ ਆਏਗੀ ਡੋਨੇਟ ਕਰਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਐਂਡ ਈਵਨ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਮੋਸਟ ਯੂਨੀਕ ਚੀਜ਼ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਇਹ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਨਾਰਮਲ ਜਦੋਂ ਬਲੱਡ ਡੋਨੇਸ਼ਨ ਕਰਨ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਹੋ ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਮਲੇਰੀਆ ਜੇ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਰਿਸਕ ਹੈ ਜਾਂ ਮਲੇਰੀਆ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਕਦੀ ਹੋ ਚੁੱਕਾ ਹੈ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਡੋਨੇਟ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਬਟ ਇਨ ਦਿਸ ਕੇਸ ਈਵਨ ਇਫ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਜੇ ਮਲੇਰੀਆ ਹੋਇਆ ਹੋਇਆ ਪਹਿਲੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਫੇਰ ਵੀ ਡੋਨੇਟ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਆ ਬਟ ਹਰ ਇੱਕ ਦੀ ਆਪਣੀ ਆਪਣੀ ਮੈਡੀਕਲ ਹਿਸਟਰੀ ਹੈ ਜਾਂ ਕੁਛ ਹੈ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜੇ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਕੋਈ ਸਪੈਸੀਫਿਕ ਕੁਐਸਚਨ ਹੋਵੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਾਲ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ 1888 ਟੂ ਡੋਨੇਟ ਇੱਕ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਬਲੱਡ ਸਰਵਿਸ ਦਾ ਨੰਬਰ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਾਲ ਕਰਕੇ ਨਰਸ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਆਪਣੀ ਕੌਨਫੀਡੈਂਸ਼ੀਅਲ ਡਿਸਕਸ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ ਸਿਚੁਏਸ਼ਨ ਐਂਡ ਦੈਨ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਡਿਸਾਈਡ ਕਰ ਲਓ ਕਿ ਡੋਨੇਸ਼ਨ ਪੋਸੀਬਲ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਨਹੀਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਲਈ okay thank you so
Mhm.
my next question is about travel restrictions. I know for regular blood donation there's restrictions about I know you mentioned that blood for the plasma the malaria risk is not there but for the other restrictions any specific country that they travel to or anything like that which is quite common in the community here in Ottawa.
Mhm. No, absolutely. One thing about plasma, It doesn't matter if you lived in North Africa, if you've lived in some potential countries where malaria, like we've mentioned, you're welcome in. It is not a factor that will affect your plasma donation. The two restrictions that have been put in place by Health Canada presently is Mexico. With the Zika, they've asked to, especially during the March time of the year, for travelers, to wait 3 months prior to their donation after traveling to Mexico. And one restrictions that is for West Europe, which is usually Ireland, England, Belgium region. If you've lived there from 1986 to 2007, due to the mad cow disease, they ask that we do not currently donate. That this is something that might change in the future that we're looking into. But for now, that's one of the restrictions. But apart from that, if you've landed yesterday morning from anywhere across the world except Mexico, please come in to donate. There is
Okay.
no restriction.
And I believe these rules, they keep changing as well, right? Like where you can travel and how long you need to wait, right? So is this something that's updated every now and then?
For Mexico, it's been a recent update, but
Mhm.
for the mad cow disease and in 1986 to 2007, that is something that's been put in place by Health Canada, and that's a restriction that's been ongoing. Apart from that, there is no other restriction. You could donate anywhere across Canada, and it doesn't matter how long you've been away and how quickly you've been back into the country. Your time, there's really no time restriction for donation for plasma.
Okay. So these restrictions or all the other details, are they on the website as well, if you want to tell us? Or
Absolutely. If you need further information, if you have any further questions, I would always suggest to call 1-888 to donate, or speaking to one of our associates, or looking at the eligibility link onto the Canadian Blood Services website,
okay, and it's blood.ca, right?
blood.ca.
Perfect. Yeah, so for our viewers in Hindi, मेरा क्वेश्चन था कि बेसिकली जब हम रेगुलर ब्लड डोनेशन करने जाते हैं तो वहाँ पे काफ़ी रिस्ट्रिक्शंस होती हैं कि कौन सी कंट्री में आपने कब ट्रैवल किया है और कितना टाइम वेट करना पड़ेगा अगर आपने किसी रिस्ट्रिक्टेड कंट्री में ट्रैवल किया हो। तो सो फार ये इन्फॉर्मेशन मिली हमें कि जब प्लाज्मा डोनेशन हो रही है तो उतनी ज़्यादा स्ट्रिक्ट ट्रैवल रिस्ट्रिक्शंस नहीं है, बट फिर भी कुछ कंट्रीज़ का है। फॉर एग्जांपल देयर वाज अ मेंशन ऑफ मेक्सिको एंड वेस्टर्न यूरोप। इनके स्पेसिफिक अगर टाइम फ्रेम में आप गए हो तो आपको कुछ टाइम वेट करनी पड़ेगी बिफोर डोनेटिंग। सो अगर आपके ऐसे कोई स्पेसिफिक क्वेश्चन हो, आप वो टोल फ्री नंबर पे कॉल कर सकते हो जैसे मैंने पहले बताया, या आप वेबसाइट पे जा सकते हो blood.ca। वहाँ पे अगर इनके कोई अपडेट्स भी आ रहे हैं या कुछ भी है तो आप वहाँ पे सारा फॉलो अप कर सकते हो। So thank you, Mary. So I know you already mentioned about malaria and there's no specific, restriction about that. But how about, like, we have a lot of members in the community who are taking medication for diabetes or blood pressure. Are those people okay to donate or not in general?
So with diabetes, there is absolutely no concern about donating plasma.
Mhm.
Again, because it is medication specific, if there is a medication that you're on that is a
Mhm.
life dependent medication,
Mhm.
heart, blood, or any other potential illness, I would definitely suggest to go to 1-888 to donate,
Okay.
or canadianblood.ca at blood.ca, to just verify that your medication does not potentially affect your donation experience. Our priority is always the donor. We
Yeah.
want to make sure your safety is priority. And thereafter, we also want to make sure all the control points are there and standard of operation to make sure that the quality is there for the recipient.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah,
Mhm.
and I believe that's pretty much true for any type of blood donation, right?
Yeah,
In general. Yeah. Okay.
absolutely.
Sounds good. So, for our viewers in Punjabi, the question was ਕਿ ਜੇ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੂੰ ਮਲੇਰੀਆ ਹੋਇਆ ਉਹ ਤਾਂ ਚਲੋ ਡੋਨੇਟ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ, ਬਟ ਜੇ ਕਿਸੇ ਦੀ ਹੋਰ ਕੋਈ ਹਿਸਟਰੀ ਹੋਏ, ਮੈਡੀਕਲ ਹਿਸਟਰੀ ਹੋਏ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਕਿ ਆਪਣੀ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਾਫੀ ਕਾਮਨ ਹੈ, ਬਲੱਡ ਪ੍ਰੈਸ਼ਰ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ ਜਾਂ ਡਾਇਬੀਟੀਜ਼ ਹੋ ਗਈ, ਸੋ ਇਨ ਜਨਰਲ ਦੀ ਆਨਸਰ ਇਹ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਡੋਨੇਟ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਆ, ਬਟ ਕਈ ਵਾਰੀ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਮੈਡੀਕੇਸ਼ਨ ਲੈ ਰਹੇ ਆ ਉਹ ਸ਼ਾਇਦ ਅਲਾਉਡ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ। ਸੋ ਸਪੈਸੀਫਿਕ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੀ ਮੈਡੀਕੇਸ਼ਨ ਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਚੈੱਕ ਕਰਨਾ ਹੋਵੇ ਤਾਂ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਮੈਂ ਨੰਬਰ ਜਾਂ ਮੈਂ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਵੈਬਸਾਈਟ ਕਹੀ ਸੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉੱਥੇ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਚੈੱਕ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ, ਫੋਲੋ ਅਪ ਕਰਕੇ, ਦੈਨ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਆਈਡੀਆ ਹੋ ਜਾਏਗਾ। ਬਟ ਇਹ ਮਤਲਬ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਨਿਰਾਸ਼ ਹੋਣ ਦੀ ਲੋੜ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਡਾਇਬੀਟੀਜ਼ ਹੈ ਤਾਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਡੋਨੇਟ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ, ਦੈਟ ਇਜ਼ ਨਾਟ ਟਰੂ। Okay, thank you, Ari. And And generally, we get asked about whenever there's a new thing that we are donating. People have been donating like normal
Mhm.
blood, for a long time. I know the answer for the question, but you can still, reaffirm that. So, is it safe to donate plasma?
Absolutely. Like I mentioned earlier on, plasma is a hydrate. It's a liquid. It's water based, high and rich in protein, and that protein is used to create those medication for all those life saving illnesses. So plasma is like, if we give you back your red blood cells, your platelets, and so it's less taxing. It's actually easier, and this is why it's safe. Men can give. It's just like blood. Men can give every 7 days, and women can donate every 14 days.
Okay, every 14
So
days.
it's absolutely safe.
That's amazing. Okay. For our viewers in Hindi, so मेरा क्वेश्चन था कि प्लाज्मा डोनेट करना सेफ भी है कि नहीं, बिकॉज ज़्यादा कम्युनिटी में पता नहीं है कि प्लाज्मा भी डोनेट होता है। तो मैंने बताया कि प्लाज्मा डेफिनेटली सेफ है, और इनफैक्ट ये वाला जो डोनेशन है एज कम्पेयर टू रेगुलर ब्लड डोनेशन लेस इंटेंस है। दैट्स वाई आप ज़्यादा ऑफ्टन डोनेट भी कर सकते हो। एक हेल्थी मैन जो है वो एवरी 7 डेज में, एवरी 7 दिनों में वो डोनेट कर सकते हैं, और जो हेल्थी फीमेल हैं वो एवरी 14 डेज में, 2 हफ्ते में डोनेट कर सकते हैं। सो इट मीन्स के डेफिनेटली सेफ है। दैट्स वाई आप इतना ज़्यादा ऑफ्टन जाके विद इन सेम ईयर कर सकते हो डोनेट। And Mary, so there are a lot of donors. We have some dedicated, donors who approach us every year, even before we post the dates that they're ready to donate. So I'm sure
Awesome.
they will have a question that they have, planned to the regular, donation of the blood. And now with plasma coming in, how much should be the gap in between these two?
So from donation for women, 84 days, especially from blood to plasma, because you need to rebuild your red blood cells, your white blood cell platelets. So women would be 84 days and men 56 days.
Okay, and the other way around?
The other way around is slightly shorter, but we would like to also to keep that a gap of at least 2 to 3 weeks, just to make sure, especially if you're going to be giving from plasma to blood you do lose and have to rebuild white blood cells, red blood cells, and platelets. This is why there's a bit of a gap between donations.
ਓਕੇ ਓਕੇ ਸਾਊਂਡਸ ਗੁੱਡ ਫॉर ਆवर ਵਿਊਅਰਸ ਇਨ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ। ਮੈਂ ਕੁਐਸਚਨ ਪੁੱਛਿਆ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਵੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਸਾਡੇ ਕਾਫੀ ਡੋਨਰਸ ਆ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਰੈਗੂਲਰ ਬਲੱਡ ਡੋਨੇਸ਼ਨ ਵੀ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ, ਤੇ ਹੁਣ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਗੋਇੰਗ ਫਾਰਵਰਡ ਪਲਾਜ਼ਮਾ ਡੋਨੇਸ਼ਨ ਵੀ ਕਰਨੀ ਆ, ਤੇ ਦੋਨਾਂ ਡੋਨੇਸ਼ਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਗੈਪ ਕਿੰਨਾ ਹੋਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ। ਸੋ ਮੈਂ ਇਹਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਵੀ ਜੇ ਫॉर ਹੈਲਥੀ ਪਰਸਨ ਪਲਾਜ਼ਮਾ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜੇ ਬਲੱਡ ਡੋਨੇਟ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ ਤਾਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ 56 ਡੇਜ਼ ਵੇਟ ਕਰਨੀ ਪੈਣੀ ਹੈ ਇਫ ਯੂ ਆਰ ਮੇਲ, ਐਂਡ 84 ਡੇਜ਼ ਵੇਟ ਕਰਨੀ ਪੈਣੀ ਹੈ ਇਫ ਯੂ ਆਰ ਫੀਮੇਲ। But if you have any specific, question, again, as I mentioned, to see your website, the jaake ya number, toll free number, I'll again mention it's 1-888-2 donate. ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉੱਥੇ ਕਾਲ ਕਰਕੇ ਆਪਣਾ specific question ਵੀ ਪੁੱਛ ਸਕਦੇ ਆ। So I think Mary, my list is over. These were, the few questions that I have, which I'm sure would be common for a lot of people. But is there anything else that you would like to add for our viewers?
Absolutely. This is a new lifeline in Canada. The need is astronomical. This is called a call to action from our community. If you have any questions, concern, or just wanting to look what plasma looks like in terms of a center, please join us at 110 Place Orleans, Unit 1120. We're right beside Mark's warehouse. Stop in, say hi, take a look at what our facilities look like. We want to make this a positive experience. We trust that the community is going to come in forward to support us. The plasma need is, like I mentioned, one of the highest growth medication need in the world, and especially in Canada. So I look forward in seeing you in the center and having the community visit us.
Awesome. No, for sure. I think people, once the awareness spreads in the community, people are feeling more positive to come up and donate. Yeah, that's amazing. We will mention about, we'll spread the word in our community where the clinic is, because I guess this is a different clinic than the one on Carling, because that is, I
Mhm.
think, for a donation. Only people know about that, but we will spread about this as well in the community. And thanks a lot, and thanks to you, Mary, first of all, giving us time, and thanks to our volunteers and donors. They have been amazing support always. Like, it's been
Thank you.
several years, and we have always seen more number of people showing up every single year. That's why
Oh,
we
that's
are able to fill
phenomenal.
more spots. And I'm sure we will do the same thing for plasma as well, because
Thank
I
you.
think they will realize very soon that this is much less invasive and very easy to do it.
Thank you
So,
so much. This is a great opportunity for us, and we look forward to working with Hunger Till Hunger.
so thank you. Sounds good. And I'm sure we will have many more talks in the future as well.
Pleasure.
And you're doing an amazing job. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. No, thank you too. Have yourself a great day, and we'll be talking soon.
For
Bye for
sure.
now.
Have a good one. Thank you. Bye bye.